topic is specular microscopy, unmasking Gatte. I don't have any financial disclosures. So in 1918, Vogt first described the endothelium was imaged by slit lamp examination only. But in 1968 only, David Morris first prepared a laboratory specular microscope, upon which Lang and after that Born and Kaufman worked upon to prepare the present day specular microscope. So it has evolved over a long period of time. So the principle upon which the instrument works is very simple, that the instrument projects a light onto the cornea and then captures the images that is reflected back from the optical interface, which is between the corneal endothelium and the aqueous humor. The reflected image is then analyzed by the instrument and displayed as a specular photomicrograph. So light striking any surface can have three effects. Either it can be reflected or transmitted or absorbed. The reflection from the surface depends on the relative transparency of the medium and the difference in the refractive indices of the two adjacent surfaces. So the specular microscope collects only a narrow beam of reflected light, that is about 0.22% of the reflected light, and then it is analyzed by the specular microscopy and converted into a photomicrograph. In the specular microscopy, the top of the convex, bottom of the concave and optically flat surfaces appear as bright spot, whereas the irregular surfaces appear as grey due to randomly distributed or scattering of the light. So types, these are mainly two types: non-contact type or contact type. Non-contact type is the main type which is in clinical use nowadays. To name a few, Conan cell check and Topcon SP200P are the commercially available non-contact type, and the contact type is the high magnification type. The commercially available are HAICL or Tommy EM1000. So uses, it can be either used for clinical specular microscopy or can be used in eye bank for tissue donor evaluation. A careful specular microscopic evaluation can provide an accurate and quantitative analysis of the cell density, functionality which can be measured by pachymetry, and variation in the endothelial morphology. The analysis that could be done is by manual or automated method. A perfect patient eye alignment is absolutely necessary for a good image acquisition, which is very important for specular microscopy. The eye should be perpendicular to the line bisecting the axis of illumination and the axis of light collecting objective lens. Why image is so important? Because if you notice, the first and second images are good quality or fair quality, where you can rely upon the data which is given by the specular. Whereas the third and fourth image, if we are going to analyze these two images, it will be very poor, very poor quality images. So the interpretation given by the specular microscope cannot be relied upon if it is taken from these two the poor quality images. So we should always concentrate upon good quality image acquisition. Then interpretation of the specular microscopy. It can be done in two ways, either qualitative or quantitative. The qualitative analysis is a subjective analysis on visualization of various cell shape, cell border, and the abnormal endothelial structures. The cell borders either can be curved or doubled. The normal cell border is straight line in a hexagonal pattern, whereas if it is curved or doubled like this, which is seen in the picture, then it implies that either the cell was previously swollen or the cell is under stress. Then cell shape. Cell shape different. It can vary. The shapes may vary, which is called as pleomorphism. The different types of cells which can be seen in specular are elongated cells. The first one is elongated cell. The second is scalloping of the edges. Third is the rounding of the cells, which can be either large or small. and the fourth one is quadrangular cells, and this one is triangular cells. Then some of the abnormal endothelial changes which we should look for in specular microscopy include some of the bright structures or dark structures, like here these are guttae which are isolated here, and these are coalesced into mixed guttae. Here these are some of the bright structures. These are thought to be nucleus of the cells, and this is a bright structure which is spanning a lot of more than one cells, so it is thought to be a keratic precipitate or pigmented keratic precipitate. Here there are a few dark structures which you can see. These are thought to be the endothelial cell organelles, and this is a endothelial cell vacuole which will appear as dark on specular microscopy. Then quantitative analysis provides a set of numbers which are assigned to the specular photomicrograph. The morphological parameters are quantified and simplified for the observer to understand the values. So there are four things which we should look for in the quantitative parameters. First is cell area, then cell density, then polymegathism, which is counted as coefficient of variation, and pleomorphism, which is represented as percentage of hexagonal cells. So cell density, at birth usually the child is born with around 3000 to 4000 cells per millimeter square, and as the age progresses the cell loss occurs, and by the age of 40 or 50 years it will be around 2000 cells per millimeter square. About on an average about 0.5% cell loss per year occurs, and minimal acceptable amount is 1500 cells per millimeter square, and the potential corneal edema occurs if it is this average is around 500 cells per millimeter square. The cell density determination, the determination methods are may be either comparison method or frame method, corner method or center method. So I'll show you in this picture. Here in a comparison method we will compare to know the present photomicrograph with a known honeycomb pattern, and in a frame method we will count the number of cells within a frame. Either it can be fixed frame or variable frame. Then corner method, we will determine the cell area from a polygon digitalization by locating the borders of intersection. Then in center method, they will determine the cell area from the adjacent polygon centers. Here this is the fixed frame analysis, where quadrangular with only two sides, the cells which are completely within it are counted, and the border cells are counted only on two sides, and the other two sides we don't count it. And it is a variable frame analysis, where we'll first put the frame, then we'll count all the cells which are completely inside it, and then calculate the cell density. These are different methods, like corner method, this is center method, this is center flex method, which is available only in Conan microscope. In this we incorporate both the variable frame method as well as the centering method, and this is a automated method. The automated method is also used for normal endothelial cell counting, which is quite easy. So most common errors are either missed cells while doing the cell density, the missed cells, or double counting of the cells. Here you can see there is one cell which is not which is missed by the technician, and here even in one cell he has put 2 dots. So these are the common errors. Then coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation will be calculated by standard deviation of cell area divided by the mean cell area in micromillimeter square. The normal coefficient of variation is around 27 to 30, or it will be in point, it can be calculated as 0.3. Lower this coefficient of variation, more stable is the cornea. Normal morphology of a endothelium is a single layer of hexagonal cells of uniform size and the borders are straight. And coming to polymegathism, polymegathism refers to variation in cell sizes. It rarely occurs on its own. Usually it will be associated with variation in cell shape as well. And pleomorphism, this is pleomorphism refers to variation from the normal hexagonal shape, which will be quantified as percentage of hexagonal cells which can be seen. Then coming to polymegathism, here you can see, although I told you, the for ideal cornea, the cell density should be more than 2500, the coefficient of variation should be 20 to 30%, and the hexagonality should be more than 50%. So indications of specular can be for it can be used for endothelial dystrophies like Fuchs, posterior polymorphous dystrophy, and ICE syndrome, and preoperative analysis of glaucoma, cataract, and of course in ICL patients, and also this is also in eye bank for specular of the donor tissues. So this is a case of picture of Fuchs endothelial dystrophy, where you can see the guttae here, which are nothing but excrescences of the or accumulation of the collagen in the Descemet's layer. They will reflect light and it will be shown as black depression over the specular photomicrograph. Then posterior polymorphous dystrophy, where we can see either vesicles or bands or snail tracks. Here you can see the snail tracking, which is quite typical of posterior polymorphous dystrophy. Then ICE syndrome, it is there will be seen as reversal of appearance. Why reversal? Because the normally we see the boundary will be sharp and bright, the boundary will be black and the center will be dark, but center will be here the cells will be dark, whereas the borders will be bright. So this is called reversal of the appearance, and there will be complete loss of mosaic pattern or the hexagonality. Then clinical applications, corneal edema will occur in a case if it is 300 to 700 cells per millimeter square, and endothelial cell loss occurs if it cell loss in a case of any case of intraocular surgery will be around 0 to 30%. So taking into account, we should go for any intraocular surgery if the minimum cell count is around 1000 to 1200 cells per millimeter square. Another good indication is graft rejection, which can be very early detected by the specular microscopy, which cannot be detected so early in by clinical slit lamp examination. We can see some intercellular bright bodies and black inflammatory cells in the endothelium, which are suggestive of the graft rejection. Other conditions like keratoconus will see elongated endothelial cells. Contact lens chronic use, we can see polymegathism and elongated cells. Intraocular inflammation, we can see inflammatory cells in the borders, and in PKP we can also see faster than normal cell loss in the specular microscopy. Coming to IBEX specular microscopy, this is done by various methods, but most of the IBEX use Conan keratoanalyzer for this. Here we place the storage chamber which will be mounted over this portion, and the central cornea is focused, and the XY knob will be there, which will be adjusted to get a clear specular image. In IBEX specular microscopy, we will mainly go for the cell density, but along with that hexagonality and CV also should be seen, and some of the foreign body or inflammatory material or any stretch marks over the endothelium should also be taken into account. And the minimum donor endothelial cell density should be 2000 cells per millimeter square for optical purpose. Okay, these are my references. Thank you all for it. Nice.